time to wake up.
It's time for the Morning Roast, brought to you by Pat's Pizza in Hamden.
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
Some damn fool accused you of being the best. Dylan, you son of a...
Check out the menu and daily specials at patspizzahamden.com.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Roast. Dave Peck alongside Brian Seidlinger and Jeff Hoke on the board as usual. Greg Hirsch is off. Brian Sullivan is off. So we got some fun action here on a Friday. No parents, no rules allowed. We're tossing out
yeah, man.
Florida, Texas, other. We're talking this, we're talking that. So Brian, how you doing this morning?
Man, I love Fridays in general. So anytime you catch me on a Friday morning, I'm probably in a pretty good mood.
Jeff, are you in a good mood? Is your blood still boiling? I know you had a big podcast that you recorded about the Bruins yesterday. How you feeling?
It wasn't bad. My blood isn't boiling that much anymore. It's kind of calmed down a little bit after I've gone a couple days to think over what's been going on. Although the Cassidy interview that they did yesterday didn't help the cause much either.
Yeah, I'm not going to help your cause because I want to get your blood boiling.
I know you do. You always do.
It's good for the show.
We are going to talk about that.
Is it really good for the show, though?
It's very good for the show.
The more you can just
not
get
good for
angry
my health.
is better for us.
It's not good for my health. My dad says my blood pressure is probably going to be too high anyway, so
As long as you're hydrating, you'll be fine, right?
I think everybody on this show is more concerned with what's good for the show than what's good for you personally.
Oh, thank you.
For whatever that's worth.
It's worth nothing
Sorry,
at this point.
I'm just saying, I think we're all more concerned with that.
Those are facts. All right, we'll get to that a little bit later. We have Red Sox. We are going to break down the Celtics, too. But for now, let's go to the headlines.
Check the headline. Here's the headline.
Let's get you caught up on everything you might have missed with today's headlines. Brought to you by Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A in Holden, where you'll find furniture that's in stock and ready for delivery.
Extra, extra! Read all about it!
The Red Sox entered last night on a 7-game win streak. The Angels on a 14-game losing streak, but it is the Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels of California, the United States of America, that end up winning 5-2 last night. In case you missed it, it was a shot right here that did it.
Swing, there's a drive, left center field, hit deep, Jackie on the go, Verdugo back by the fence. It's gone, a 2-run homer, Ohtani, and the Angels lead 2-1.
So Shohei Ohtani pitches well. Gets the big hit in the game. That one in the 5th inning as the Angels go on to win it again. 5-2 is the final in that one.
He put the team on his back. He saw that he had to be the blood stopper. He had to stop the bleeding, so he just literally threw the team on his back and like, okay, guys, let's go. It's time.
It is amazing how insignificant star power is in baseball.
Yeah, sometimes.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You have the best player ever. You have a transcendent player. And yes, you get a win, but God, you break a 14-game losing streak. And you have Mike Trout. I know he's hurt, but just in general, what is up with the Angels and just not being able to put it together?
I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of Angels baseball, but I will say that you can't be too upset about losing last night. It would be much worse if they had lost 3 in a row to a team that had just lost their own 12 straight, right? So it happens. He ran up against one of the greatest players already at this stage of his career ever to play the game. So, that's fine. I'll take that. I'm okay with last night.
And Red Sox are okay with how it's been lately because they're 30-28. Yeah. They'll head to Washington, a little north, to face Seattle Mariners for a 3-game series starting tonight at 10 p.m. right here on 92.9 The Ticket. Also, the big one. Game 4 of the NBA Finals between the Celtics and the Warriors tips off tonight at 9 p.m. That can be seen on ABC. Celtics, can they put together a good game after a good game? It seems like it's impossible. Why is that such a tall task?
If I had the answer, man, I wish ridiculous. I wish I did.
It's like Jason Tatum, and I don't want to call a singular person out, but it's as if they need some sort of hole to dig themselves out of. So I don't understand. I mean, Gary Washburn, what do you think on Game 4 here going into tonight?
I think Golden State just seems to be a little bit fatigued. I think Steph has a lot on his plate. Steph has been tremendous in this series. Is Klay Thompson going to come back with another 25-point effort? Jordan Poole looks over his head. Draymond doesn't look right. I mean, he hasn't had that impact. He had a bad Game 1 and bad Game 3. So I think the Celtics, win a close game in Game 4. I don't think that they fall behind. I don't think that they melt down and, like you said, just unable to deal with the flowers and the trees. I think that they play a solid game, good enough to win, because Golden State is going to throw all their punches. They're going to give it all.
All right, that would be breaking a trend because, Tatum says it right here.
When we are at our best, right, when we respond to tough situations, when we respond to teams going on runs and things like that, we call the timeout, we regroup, and lock back in. I think that's when we're at our best. And I think we did that several times a night, and I think that's as a result, we end up winning the game. So just being focused and locked in and everybody competing and being on the same page, we're going to need that, obviously, to get the job done.
We've heard that all before.
Right.
They were saying that after game 5 against Miami? Then when they had a chance to close it out in Game 6, thought for sure the way they were talking after Game 5 against Miami, they were going to come out and step on the throat, and they absolutely did not.
So I'll ask you this. What makes you believe tonight will be different?
I don't.
Is there anything?
No, I don't.
So
I need to see it. I need to see it. I have them losing tonight. Absolutely. Look, I don't want them to lose. Not rooting for them to lose. But they have not shown me, or us, not just me. They haven't shown you. They haven't shown Jeff. They haven't shown anybody who's watched this team that they can handle success and keep it going. And they don't have that step on the throat mentality. They almost lost Game 7 against Miami, up 13 with 3 minutes to go, because they don't have that step on the throat mentality. I don't know what it is that they have to have adversity, or they have to have their backs against the wall, or they have to get punched in the face before they sort of puff up their chest and punch back. You've got it. You've got this team down right now. You've got them kind of by the throat right now. Keep punching them in the face, and they don't do that. They let off.
It's a 2-1 series lead, but just hearing out of the Warriors camp, they seem a little nervous. But,
they do.
Klay Thompson, how are you feeling about the series here?
They just outplayed us Game 3. There's no way around it. And we're gonna, the best part about the playoffs is how you respond, and never underestimate the heart of a champion, and we have a lot of those.
Give me a break with that.
Okay.
Jeez.
Without Kevin Garnett, though? Kevin Durant?
So this is the thing. I've noticed this. They seem to be getting a little cocky. The Warriors are, because they've won before. This is a whole different team than the Cleveland Cavaliers, that you're playing. I know they had LeBron James, but this defense is legit when it comes to the Celtics. And you've been getting shut down. Draymond Green has had 2-3-2 for a stat line. He's had single doubles and not just double doubles.
To me, they sound a lot less cocky now than they did after Games 1 when they lost, and Game 2 when they won. And Dave just brought it up. They seem a little bit like they kind of know, like, this is a rugged team that we're trying to beat, and they're better than us.
Yeah, we'll talk more. We'll give more thoughts on Game 4 coming up after the stock report later on in the hour. But for now, the NHL playoffs are still going on. Jeff is still.
We're only talking about this because Jeff Hoke is our producer, right? It's got to be the only reason we're talking.
Yeah,
about
and
it.
you have no other choice. That's why.
And he gets so excited by the calls here because Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
they're going to be the first to win 3 straight in a row.
Please, please, for the love of God,
they are the 2000 New England Patriot version of hockey.
I sit here because the Rangers had a 2-0 series lead, and they're
about to lose 4 straight.
We just talked about it. You have them by the throat. You're up 2-0, and they let go, and now you're letting Tampa Bay get hot, and because of.
Play your favorite guy here.
Left point Hedman. Right point Sergachev shoots. Score! Sergachev! Another goal for Sergachev. It's 2-1 Lightning.
Is that the guy in the background trying to talk while he's yelling?
Is that your alarm when you wake up?
Yeah. It should be. I never thought of that, actually.
Isn't it? Why you wake up to
Why isn't it, actually?
He's doing the shower when he's getting ready to come to work.
Yeah.
That could have fronted a death metal band, that guy, right? If he wasn't a hockey announcer.
It's just, I don't like him as much as I just his calls are annoyingly funny.
Okay.
Just hearing him slur half of his words when he's yelling is just hilarious to me.
But you're starting to buy in, and again, Lightning now have a 3-2 series lead over the Rangers.
It's over.
Jeff is already calling it.
It's going back to Tampa already anyway, and it's over.
All right, so book the Lightning into the Stanley Cup Finals. And,
I need Brian Sullivan to confirm it for me, so we'll be right.
Well, we'll see what his hockey. What were his Bruins predictions? I don't know if they were as hot as Red Sox
Look,
ones.
there's no such thing as Bruin predictions right now. We're not even going to go there.
I do want to go there, actually, in the stock report. We're going to talk Bruins because Bruce Cassidy addressed the media for the first time since getting the pink slip from Don Sweeney, so we'll get into that in the stock report. Not much happened with the Patriots. I mean, they had practice canceled yesterday because of rain. Maybe we'll talk about that in the stock report, too. And also, PGA Tour announces it has suspended players that have joined the LIV Golf Tour. That's, of course, the tour sponsored by or connected with Saudi Arabia. Phil Mickelson's been involved in those headlines as well throughout. And so they said they're going to do the same to those who may join it in the future. So it sounds like the U.S. Open, they're still allowed to play, but not necessarily going forward. And, we'll talk a little bit U.S. Open again. Caleb Manuel coming on, the Mount Ararat grad, UConn golfer who is qualified to play down at the Country Club in Brookline. Those are your headlines brought to you by Rockcliffe Service Center in Hamden. Get your vehicle ready for spring and summer with Rockcliffe's offering tire change-out, brakes, alignments, rim repair, detailing, and much more. Visit them online at rockcliffesinc.com and by the Heating Lodge at Home Value. Make memories, love your life. At the Heating Lodge, they will help you find the fireplace that is perfect for your family. Call 947-7072 or go to heatinglodge.com. And we come back. We have the stock report right here on the Morning Roast.
The key to making money in a situation like this is to position yourself now before the settlement. Because by the time you read about it in the Wall Street Journal, it's already too late.
Hey, the Dukes are trying to corner the market.
Money never sleeps, pal.
How could you do this to us after everything we've done for you?
Oh, see, I made Lewis a bet here. Lewis bet me that we couldn't both get rich and put you all in the fall house at the same time. He didn't think we could do it. I won.
Welcome back. Time for a Friday edition of the Stock Report brought to you by Brewer Redemption Center, located by Parody Shop and Save in the North Brewer Shopping Center. Brewer Redemption Center is very clean, organized, and offers excellent parking. 391 North Main Street in Brewer. We've been talking about it. We've been trying to get him going a little bit, but we've been holding it. Now it's time to let out the beast. Jeff Hoke and his Bruins talk. He had a big podcast yesterday. Had to get some stuff off his chest with the Don Sweeney, Bruce Cassidy situation here. Surgeries left and right for the Bruins. So we're going to start with a stock down here. And that's Don Sweeney's word. Yesterday, according to Bruce Cassidy, Don Sweeney told Cassidy that he would be back coaching in September. He said the status quo will remain. Comes by the house. And you wonder what the first thought in Cassidy's mind was when he heard the doorbell ring, looked through the little peephole, and he saw big bad Don Sweeney coming by. No. Was he going to offer him a glass of wine? Did he want to have
had
dinner?
To know why he was there. If they had just talked about how everything's going to be status quo and then he shows up a little later, he had to know that things are not status quo.
So, Jeff, are you buying Don Sweeney's word going forward? I know you're low on him. His stock already could not have been lower, but now we find out he's kind of pulling a Kyrie Irving here to his own guy and a guy that Boston Bruins fans love in Bruce Cassidy. So, Jeff, I'll let you go here. Buy or sell Don Sweeney's word and the Bruins going forward.
Oh, I'm 100% selling on that. Only because, it's not that he went back on it. It's more of how it was set up, and I'll start with that. He called up Bruce Cassidy and wanted to have dinner with him at his house. They had dinner and all that stuff, and then he fired him right at his house.
Oh, man. After or before dinner?
After dinner.
Because sometimes you have...
It'd be awkward if you fired him before dinner.
Well, after dinner, it's like, thank you for the meal, by the way.
You're fired.
See you later.
All of that is bizarre.
All
of that is bizarre.
If I had to guess here, listening to Bruce Cassidy's thing, it sounds more like Don Sweeney wanted to keep Bruce Cassidy, and it was Cam Neely that didn't want to keep Bruce Cassidy. And basically, Cam Neely gave Sweeney an ultimatum here. Either you fire Cassidy or I'm firing you both.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets a little tricky. And I said this on the podcast yesterday, and like I said, you can listen. It comes out I'm going to drop it when I get home from the radio here. Where has the Jacobs family been in all this? The ownership has not been seen since 2019 after Game 7.
Well, that's why I'm asking if you believe Don Sweeney's word, because in that press conference, he said, I know there are rumblings out there that the Jacobs family is a very hands-off, I don't care about this team type of ownership style, and Sweeney said that is entirely untrue. So is that another lie?
Yeah, that's another lie.
Okay,
we haven't seen him since 2019.
So a double dip of lies for Don Sweeney.
Oh, yeah, he's a pathological liar at this point.
A pathological liar.
I can't argue with any of this.
Wow.
I'm just
It's
let
Jeff go here.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
He's just at the point where, he's making things worse for himself.
Is he digging a hole?
He's digging himself a hole at this point. That whole press conference was useless and contradicting it in itself. He basically, after saying he doesn't care about win percentages and records, he then proceeds to give off saying his win percentage is good, and that's why he's still GM after saying, I don't care what, Bruce Cassidy's win percentage is. He beats around the bush and then comes back around and just.
It sounds like he's scared. It sounds like he's not.
Yeah, because he knows it's his butt on the line, and one mess up and he's done. He hasn't signed his contract yet, so he technically could still be let go. He hasn't signed a contract yet. And I don't know. For all I know, Cam Neely could turn around and stab him in the back too, like he did Bruce Cassidy. He could be all freaking Godfather up in here.
I mean, if they're going to tear it down, you'd think they'd start.
You start with the GM.
With the general manager, especially given all the surgeries that have happened. I mean, we don't know what the Patrice Bergeron situation is. I don't know how much that is affecting what's going on here. I mean, we've heard rumblings about maybe Bruce Cassidy having some rifts or some style discrepancies when he's talking with younger players. I always thought he was a very straightforward guy, and if you can't handle that, get out. It's my opinion, but
sorry. And that's the thing. The same thing happened to Claude Julien. That's why it makes me think Neely wanted him out more. Claude had a thing where he did not like to play the young players. And then when Bruce came in, he liked to play the young players.
Well, he was a Providence guy first, so he
exactly.
kind of helped him
and
up.
now he's kind of flipped a little bit on, he doesn't want to play the young players as much. And that makes sense because you're trying to win a Stanley Cup. Why do you want to play the young players that, if they don't want to listen to you, why are you going to play them?
Why would you play them when they're not necessarily the best because the draft picks haven't been good from your boss?
And that's another thing is that, Neely knows that they botched that 2015 draft, and the last remaining piece is Jake DeBrusk. And when you're land-basing him every day and now he wants to be traded, once he's gone, you got nothing.
Sell on the Bruins, and that's why it might be time to buy because it's never been lower. All right, stock up here.
I mean, that is how the stock market works. Yeah,
right.
that is.
After all that, buy. Stock up here. You guys ever seen The Greatest Game Ever Played? Shia LaBeouf, okay? It chronicles the 1913 U.S. Open played at the Country Club in Brookline, where the U.S. Open is going to be played next week.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
Heard of it, haven't seen it.
No way.
Yeah, no, I know the movie. I've never seen it.
If you're listening out there and you haven't seen it, don't laugh at it because it's a Disney movie. Don't laugh at it because it's Shia LaBeouf in it.
I mean, I'm already doing both of those things.
Watch the movie. Hey, I had to
I saw Transformers. Let's be honest here. I saw Transformers.
Watch the movie before the U.S. Open starts next week. And we care about that, especially now because Caleb Manuel is in it from Topsom. He went to Mount Ararat. He goes to UConn. He won the Big East. And we'll go through his resume, I guess, when we talk to him later. But watch this movie. And it's about an amateur, a guy who worked. It's a very kind of socioeconomic thing. He worked. He was kind of blue collar. And then they somehow gets a little bit of a bid into the U.S. Open. And he ends up winning it. Spoiler. I mean, it happened in 1913. It's a true story.
How dare you?
But it's a great movie. So my stock up is through the roof on Greatest Game Ever.
Was that
played.
the one you were all excited to tell us about?
Yes, and then neither of you guys had seen it. But
Sorry to disappoint you.
I know I have homework to do. I'm going to have to watch Die Hard on Saturday, so you guys are going to have to watch Greatest Game Ever Played.
No, this is your homework, not ours.
I'm giving you a week.
Okay.
I'm giving you.
I ain't going to do it.
I'm sitting in the Brian Sullivan chair, so I'm going to give you guys a week. All right.
I ain't doing it.
The other thing that I'm going to stock up here is the Dana-Farber Fieldhouse. That is where the Patriots practice their indoors. And for the first time that I've ever heard here, Bill Belichick is canceling practice. I get that it's minicamp, but he's canceling practice because it's raining out. So, do we think more than 5 times this season they're going to be inside the Dana-Farber Fieldhouse? Is he going soft here? What are your thoughts? I know you're a big Patriots guy. What are your thoughts on this?
Nobody has any idea. And a lot of times nobody has in the Bill Belichick era, but this goes above and beyond. Nobody has any idea what the hell is going on over there. Nobody can make heads or tails of basically anything.
Is he caught between two eras? Is he realizing that he can't?
That might be a good way to put it.
I think it is a good way to put it.
It seems like he recognizes that he needs to change his style, that it's not working with Tom Brady gone. He can't be as much of a hard ass as he was.
That's what they're trying to do right now. Is
But he
change the
doesn't.
style.
But he doesn't really know how to do that.
He doesn't know how to do it, and then you start diluting the message. You start diluting the thing that you've told your players and what players have come to expect. So now it's like it's a little bit inconsistent here, and maybe we're reading too much into it because
we probably are, because that's what we do.
He also said that they had a good week of practice, so they're going to give him the day off, and it's June 10th. The season doesn't start for months, but this isn't the first time that we've started to see him trying to be more hip, maybe. You know, he's rooting for the Celtics more. He's a little bit chummier. Maybe he's just feeling good. He's had a lot of fishing trips out in the Cape Cod Sound or in Nantucket.
Yeah, today's player, obviously, is different than the player 20 years ago or the player 30 years ago when he was just a defensive coordinator for the Giants. And you cannot sort of treat guys this day and age, guys that are, in their early to mid-20s to late 20s, the way you could 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And Dave, to your point, maybe that's what this is. He just recognizes, okay, I have to maybe instead of them coming up to my level where I need them to be, maybe I need to come down to theirs a little bit and meet them a little more halfway, just with regard to things like practice or all the Belichickian sort of hard and fast rules. Maybe he's realized he needs to let those go a little bit. But at 70, what is he, 70 years old?
Yeah.
How do you do that? I don't know. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if he knows how to do that. And the rest of us are left standing there wondering what is going on because we can't make any sense of it, even less sense than we've ever made of anything.
And that's why it's very concerning, and that's why it will be a very fun and interesting season to watch. So, Dana-Farber Fieldhouse, I'm saying that it's going to have more use than it ever has going forward. All right, those are your stocks there. Always like to get Jeff going on the Bruins here. That was brought to you by Chase's Restaurant and Hideaway Lounge, where good food and great fun meet. 1575 Hammond Street in Bangor. And also, I want to talk to you about Pam Libby of Next Home Experience. Spring is here. It is time to get into the real estate game, and Pam will help you hit it out of the park. Call Pam Libby today at 942-5011. When we come back, we'll dive more into the Celtics, into the passionate Celtics fan base, Draymond Green, Adam Silver, the whole 9 yards of it, because we got Game 4 coming up tonight. We'll be right back here on the Morning Roast. All right, welcome back, everyone. Time for some Celtics talk, as Game 4 is tonight, of course, between the C's and the Warriors, looking to take a 3-1 series lead after that 116-100 win on Wednesday. Real quick, though, the Morning Roast is brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More in Newport, featuring athletic, casual, dress, and work shoes in many styles from the leading manufacturers, Comfort Shoes and More, 19 Moosehead Trail in Newport, and at comfortshoesandmore.com. And Boston Insiders is brought to you by Whole Grain Bake Shop and Brewer, where all the baked goods are fresh and made from scratch. Call Kelly at 745-7528. Find them on Facebook at the Whole Grain Bake Shop. You mentioned, Brian, that it's kind of tough sometimes to read numbers. I find that as well. I'm reading the phone numbers, and it's like, I got it right. But
yeah,
there is like a second thought.
I think your reads have been just spot on today.
I appreciate that.
They're better than Sully's. I mean, we should be calling you to do the reads and let Sully do the rest of it.
Yeah, wake me up.
Yeah.
I'll get Jeff's alarm and I'll get Dave Mishkin.
Absolutely. We could pre-tape your reads and just play them that way.
All right, we're let's talk Celtics here. And we mentioned it in the 6 o'clock hour, but there's been this growing sort of storyline since Game 3. Boston fans, and again, it's this sort of agenda, I feel like, that's being driven from the Warriors, but sort of attacking Boston, sort of attacking the Boston fan base. I don't know what you call it. You all know what I'm talking about here when I say this, because there were FU Draymond chants at the Garden. There were also FU chants in Philadelphia, like you said. There are FU chants in D.C., and you made the point, simple geography.
I mean, this is how the Northeast people are. We're a little rougher around the edges than they are out in California. That's not supernatural, right? That's not a secret. So everybody knows that.
You're saying California's soft.
Softer than the Northeast. Yeah, 100%. look, life sucks here sometimes.
Well, also the thing is like
cold. The weather sucks a lot of times. Like we're a lot of blue collar people up here. I mean, it's just I don't believe. Look, I haven't been to California, but I just never has been presented that way to me. It's always sunny out there. It's a nicer way of life out there. And it's hard for us up here, and we wear that with a badge. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just who we are. And we're proud of that, as we all are.
You have to be. You have to be because it's sort of how you get through it.
Absolutely.
And it's also funny because, the whole F you, like that's a whole Boston thing. Like that is a stereotype of the area.
Sure, but
that's how we say hello.
But stereotypes come from somewhere, right? Stereotypes aren't like these made-up fictional
I'm saying
things.
It's maybe stereotype is a false word. I'm saying it's sort of an identity. Like, it's like you're a true Bostonian, you say that. I was driving down Boston earlier this week, and I heard people yelling it out just at the car that was honking behind him. It's just like the value of that is maybe less than people think it is out in California. Because Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson, and it's insufferable to listen to.
They're in shorts every day out there.
And they're saying,
they wear shorts and sandals all the time.
Isn't it like they're on their high horse, though?
Oh, 100%.
Very, very classy. Like, they're coming off as this cocky, arrogant, and I guess they have the right to do that because they've won so much and they're on the throne technically compared to the Celtics, at least in recent years. But they're coming off here like we're better than you, like we're self-righteous. We don't swear, we don't say those things. And it's like, could you get off your high horse? Because it's just these fans that are passionate about their team. And anywhere else in a passionate fan base, you would find that. Maybe your fans don't necessarily think that way, but you're taking it at face value way too much. And I'm sorry you've played the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals and you haven't really realized or witnessed that sort of passion. But my God, give it a rest.
Let me play the sound from yesterday for you. That way people know what
play
the setup.
On the crowd's response to Draymond, classy, very classy.
We played in front of rude people before, dropping F-bombs with children in the crowd. Real classy. Good job, Boston.
I mean, they're being pee pants about it. That's all. This is a group that clearly knows they're in a fight that they maybe can't really win, and I don't think they thought that headed into the series. Game one, with the way they came out, felt like they were in a coronation. The Warriors felt like this was a coronation for them. They made it back to the finals. This is a team they were going to beat.
That would be a cakewalk.
Coronation. And now all of a sudden they've realized it's almost it could really be the opposite. Like this is a team that maybe that's better than us, and we're gonna have to play a style of basketball to beat the Celtics that we don't play, and they're being pee pants about the crowd. Name a team in an NBA Finals or any championship that's complained about a crowd and gone on to win the series. They never do.
New York Knicks fans chanted "F you, Trey" to Trey Young last year during the playoffs. You know what? They were chanting that same thing at Yankee Stadium. You know what he did? He embraced it.
Mm-hmm. So that's the thing,
right?
You embrace it.
That's the thing. It's so soft and it comes off as panicky. Like this team is clearly backs against the wall and they're kind of reeling. They're trying to make an excuse and they don't really know what's happening. And Draymond Green is terrible because he can play bully ball. And then when things are great, it's great. And you can do all this. And then he complains, well, it's about the kids. And he's out there swearing in front of his own kid or whoever the kid was at the press conference. And he's, it wasn't, maybe it's not the F-bomb, but it's still a swear. Like,
as if Draymond's kid hasn't heard the F-bomb.
Right. It's this self-righteous, we've never done anything wrong sort of attitude that rubs me the wrong way. And Jeff, you brought up the leaning into it. When I hear, and it hasn't happened as often I honestly would like, but when I hear an opposing fan base, when the Celtics travel, booing Jason Tatum, that's when you know that he is a legit player.
Exactly.
That's when you know that he has arrived. Like, if you are irrelevant, you are not getting booed. So if the fact that they can't handle that is just, I don't know, a product of who they've played in the past or the culture out there, but embrace it and don't take it so personally. And don't give me this, the kids thing because...
The kids thing was a total cop-out. It was such whataboutism, we lost and we got beat down tonight, but what about their fans? Good job, Boston.
You know who doesn't agree?
Get out of here.
You know who doesn't agree with all this? Adam Silver.
Well, I was going to say, we're talking here, and okay, you can say, well, it's easy for, people in New England, people in Maine to be on the side of the Celtics. Let's hear from the head of the NBA, who you might be surprised by his take.
And I want fans to enjoy themselves. I mean, of course, as the league office, you want to see it done with respect for all the participants, but I get it. I love the energy that the Boston fans bring to the game.
He gets it.
Plain and simple.
He gets it.
Loves the energy. It's nothing. And then the wife comes out, and I don't want to really bring her into this, but she posts on Instagram, and again, it's about the kids, and it's like, well, you're swearing in front of them at the podium.
Yeah, I don't care what the wife says. What's the wife going to say? I get it. Wife, mom, mother, whoever, they're going to be upset about it. That's fine.
There's probably an 8-year-old who started the FU chant, honestly.
Draymond has handled it the best. He seems to be the one who cares the least.
Yeah.
He's like, Draymond is the one that's wearing it.
Well, his podcast yesterday.
On his podcast, he said, yeah, F you, Draymond, F you, Draymond. Well, you know what, Boston, F you too, was kind of what he said.
Yeah. Which is way better than very classy.
Yeah,
look
of course.
At me on my high
the
horse.
high horse thing, absolutely. Yep.
God, Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson, what a joke. All right, anyways, when we come back, we'll get Caleb Manuel on the show here, talk some U.S. Open. Before that, I want to tell you about Tony Murray's Fairway Auto Sales. Your best bet for quality pre-owned vehicle is Fairway Auto Sales in Hancock, home of the complimentary 6-month, 6,000-mile major component coverage plan. Again, Caleb Manuel when we come back right here on the Morning Roast. All right, welcome back to the Morning Roast. Dave Peck, Brian Seidlinger, and Jeff Hoke, as usual, here in the studio. Morning Roast brought to you by Old Town and Broadway Dairy Queen. Stop in at the Old Town or Broadway location for a DQ Blizzard with dozens of flavor choices. A DQ Blizzard is your home run treat. So on this show, try and bring on some guests. Sometimes the phone lines aren't working. Sometimes things happen. Caleb Manuel, technical difficulties here. So we think fastball and we adjust to the curve. We stay on our back foot and we throw the hands and we take the pitch the opposite way. That's exactly what we're going to do here. And we're going to talk some baseball.
Sure. Line it to right. Opposite field.
Just get it done. You don't have to hit home
outside
run
of the
every
shift.
time.
Bat on the ball.
And that's exactly. I mean, you guys bring up a great point, and I want to thank you for coming on the show here. I mean, it's good stuff. So Red Sox here is our pivot point, and June 10th was a date that Brian Sullivan had marked back on May 17th, was it? That by this date, the Red Sox would be, at the very least, I think he said, 30-30, a 500 team. And at that point, they were 14-20 and 21. So let's just hear first what he had to say.
Give it a month. Give it about 25, 26 games. The Boston Red Sox are about to turn this thing around. And as of June 10th, June 11th, depending on the math, which I have compiled here, they're going to be 30-30 by the time we get to the series, the weekend of June 10th, 11th, 12th. They'll be playing the Seattle Mariners out there on the West Coast. The road's going to get easier. This Boston Red Sox team is about to turn.
So there it is. Now they're 30-28.
Yeah, it took him exactly 24 days to get there, and I scoffed at him at the time.
You did.
There was no indication that they could.
Thank you.
Yeah,
except Jeff.
Right.
We could never.
Jeff is a glass half full kind
Jeff
of guy.
would never bash the Red Sox.
No, of course. But there was no indication that they were going to turn it around at that point.
No.
And it took them. Sully said they'll get back to 500 by the time they get to 60 games. It took them just over 3 weeks.
Well, I think
they had a 6-game streak and a 7-game win streak in there.
The interesting thing to me is that he said it expecting some tomato cans to be some easy wins. Orioles, Reds, and they spilled the chili in both those series. They lost, 3 out of 5?
Yep. In that series.
To the Orioles?
And split with the Reds.
Split with the Reds, one of the worst teams in the league, at least up until this point. So even with playing not great baseball, and it's honestly more impressive. Even with not doing your job against the bad teams, they were still able to get there, and with 2 games to spare, no less. It's not like it's coming out of the wire like he's sitting back now.
Oh yeah, no, they got to 3 games above 500 in this little stretch that we're talking about, with 3 games to play in this stretch. So they've already clinched. Sully's already clinched his prediction 3 games ahead of the predictions sort of end, I guess you would say, right? So Sully, and look, to be fair, and I want everybody to understand this that listens to this show regularly, Sully did not. He just started talking that day on May 17th. It wasn't like he came in with analytics and some stat sheets and a bunch of reasons why. The mic came on and he just started talking, and this thing spilled out, this prediction, which we all laughed at. What's his name gave up 5 home runs. Evaldi gave up 5 home runs that night.
Isn't there something? There's something to learn here, right? You don't need analytics. You just go with the gut feeling.
Just start talking,
right?
man. You're on a talk show in the morning. Just start talking.
You don't need numbers to explain it. If you have a feeling that you want to pull the starter, pull the starter. If you feel like they're going to go 30-30, then say they're going to go 30-30. Jeff, I want to ask you, how did they get here? How did they turn it around?
They turned it around by you talked about it a little bit. They extended their starters more. They're both because you're not relying on the bullpen. You're not relying on these guys that are shouldn't really be in the bullpen or have struggled lately. You're able to extend these out. You've got 3 complete games in between in that time, which is a huge help saving the bullpen. I don't know how to put this. You're not relying as much on the bullpen. Your offense is starting to heat up again.
You think it's more been an offense thing or a pitching coming around thing?
Pitching coming around. I think it's more of a pitching coming around. I think we all knew the offense was going to be there at one point. Once it started warming up a little bit.
But it was the offense that was missing when they were losing.
Well, really what it was, it started with Trevor's story.
Yes. Once he started heating up, everyone else started to heat up because he's in the middle of the order. And the people around him start to feed off that energy. And now you're starting to see the result of it.
So the question going forward is it sustainable? Do we think they're actually going to be a playoff team? I mean, everybody makes the playoffs these days. There are 3 wild card spots. So how much does that even mean? If as Red Sox fans with expectations that are always or should be ALCS or World Series, are you satisfied with where they're at? Are they still underachieving or overachieving?
I still think they're underachieving just a little bit. They're not at where they should be yet, but they're getting close to where they should be. The big thing is going to be, and Sullivan already made this prediction, was once Paxton and Sale come back, what's going to happen then?
See, how can you have faith in that? It just didn't.
I don't. When we were talking about
last year,
when we were talking about
Sale did well last year too.
When we were talking about the other day, I was like, "Come on, you can't count on Sale to come back and be the Sale from 3 years ago, 5 years ago."
But it's another arm you have. Whether you put him in the bullpen or you have him as a starter, it's another arm you have, and one less of those bullpen arms like a Saramora or one of these guys that have been awful this year. It's a guy you don't have to worry about.
But will it be enough to beat some of the big boppers? I mean, you said during this Red Sox stretch, the Yankees have continuously been able to win as well.
And I don't mean to go back to last year. At what point last year did we say that same exact thing and they made it to the ALCS? Did we say they could not beat the big boppers in the New York Yankees in the wildcard game? The Tampa Bay Rays in a 5-game series, and they lost to the Houston Astros, but they took you 6 games.
So I think go back to last year and the way they were kind of able to conjure up this momentum, conjure up this personality-driven success. It was almost like 2013, Johnny Gomes, Shane Victorino, that sort of vibe where the personalities almost resulted in better play on the field. Can you do that again?
I mean, probably not, but it's you got to build off of something else at that point.
You do, but I just don't think they have the talent without that sort of like the Celtics have that feeling. You know, they have that it factor. I don't know if this Red Sox team has that it factor yet, and it's still early. I'm not calling them out of it yet.
And you never know what
that
happens.
Could happen in mid-August.
It can.
With that trade deadline. You saw what happened when they got Kyle Schwarber at the trade deadline last year. That's when they started to heat up.
Well, okay, so what this early success does is, because we'll do it in checkpoints, maybe it makes the trade deadline more of a buyer instead of a seller.
Exactly.
And then we can make our assessment.
You're not selling Xander Bogaerts like everyone thought you were going to.
3 weeks ago, you were selling Xander Bogaerts.
And now we're looking at one thing I will say, though, is people are already talking about the division. But here's the thing, though. Yankees keep winning. That's the thing. I'm not worried about the division. You worry about the wild card right now. You're in that last wild card. You worry about working your way up through that wild card. You're 3.5 games out of that second wild card and 4 games out of that first wild card. Work your way up. Yankees, you don't even worry about right now. I'm still convinced they're going to cool down one of these times. They're not going to keep this pace of 41-16 for the rest of the year.
Here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that even if the Red Sox continue to have this success before the trade deadline, Chaim Bloom may not be in a mental state to go in because he's still concerned about, and I guess that's good, of course, coming after Dombrowski, but he's concerned in building up the farm system. So when does it switch to a win now mode? Because The Kyle Schwarber thing, it was a half. It was a half. It wasn't an all-in. It wasn't an all-in trade deadline last year. That's fair to say?
It's fair to say, yes, because they didn't get the arms like you should have out of the bullpen. Austin Davis worked out for you. Hanser Robles worked out for you towards the end, but no, everyone thought they should have done more. They should have done more. What I will say, though, is the fact that, you're looking. Now I can't remember what I was going to say. I was so on a roll. Say what you're going to say, then I'll remember what I was going to say.
I was just going to say it'll be interesting to see at what point Chaim Bloom decides to switch into let's go mode.
So, now remember you have a couple pieces you could trade right now if you decide to go that way. Because you got Costas waiting to come up right now. You got Jaron Duran, who's back and forth. That is a good piece that you could use in a trade. Bobby Dahlbeck, if he keeps his streak up, if you wanted to, and you wanted to call Costas up because, he's the one blocking him right now, you could also trade him as a good trade piece. You got these couple good trade pieces, plus your pitching's getting a little bit better down in the minors, so you could afford to trade one or two of those back-end arms. I'm not saying that Bloom will go all in, but I think he's going to be a little more lenient with who he can trade if these pitchers can keep up what they're doing down the minors.
I don't see him going all in this year.
I'm not saying he's going to go all in, but he's going to be a little more lenient than what he was last year.
They've got players on this team right now they could sign that are quote-unquote pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, Devers has to get signed. What are you going to do with Bogarts? I don't think this is the year to trade any of those pieces because those could be you're right, Dave. He wants to build a system. Those are your guys. Why would you trade those guys for this team right now that's that far behind everybody else?
It does feel like it's let's get as much as we can out of this team and maybe make a similar Kyle Schwarber type, one man, couple of arms type of scenario because there's so much of question in the future.
It all depends on what happens coming to trade deadline on August 2nd.
What's Sully's prediction for the next 60 games?
That's what we need to know. But you know what?
Do they get to 10 games above 500 in the next 60?
For those who say that April, May, June baseball doesn't, there's 3 months left. Why does it matter? It matters because it dictates what you do at the trade deadline. And that is an interesting thing. That's why baseball continues to be interesting, even though many say it's dead. Morning Roast brought to you by Dean's Detailing. Been Maine's auto detailing leader. Renew your vehicle appearance and protect your auto investment with a detailing service from Dean's. Give them a call at 945-3016 or book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. When we come back, we'll have our takeaways right here on 92.9 The Ticket.
What did we learn?
What did you learn today?
It's time for the takeaways from today's show.
There, a takeaway for New England.
Brought to you by Tony Murray's Fairway Auto Sales in Hancock, home of the complimentary 6-month, 6,000-mile major component coverage plan.
All right, time for the takeaways. Also brought to you by Glenburn Landscape and Supply Company. For the best landscaping supplies, and equipment. It's Glenburn's Landscape and Supply Company. Call 573-1201 or go to glenburnlandscape.com. Takeaways, Jeff, you go first.
I am going to go with the fact that I've known Brian Sadlinger here for a little while. We went to college together. Didn't know he worked down in the Florida Keys. So
it is a very good takeaway. I didn't know that either.
Yep. It did.
And I've known you for a while.
Years,
we go all the way back to Dale Duff's class.
Oh yeah, we go back a long way.
We go back a long way. So
I didn't realize you were both in Dale Duff's class.
Yep.
That might be my takeaway.
Yeah, we were both proteges of the Duffer.
Proteges.
The Duffer, nice.
You know it.
I'm the one that ended up working for him. So
there you go.
Them all.
Brian, you got any big takeaway?
Yeah, my takeaway is that Jeff Hoke, Mr. Hockey Guy himself, wakes up. His alarm is set to the Tampa Bay Lightning's play-by-play guy. And then he wakes up to this.
Right point, Sergachev shoots.
That's what Jeff. And I think that's Jeff
Another
Hoke's
goal
alarm.
for Sergachev.
Instead of Sergachev, he says Jeffrey Hoke.
I was gonna say he dubbed it. Jeff Hoke, wake up down. Yeah.
If it's not his alarm, it should be. And I do see Jeff getting ready to go to work just with that on a loop all the time.
I will say calls like that do make me run through a brick wall. It gets you fired up a little bit.
I'm kind of a skittish sleeper. If that woke me up, I would actually
jump out of bed.
You probably hit Allegra by mistake on the other side of the bed.
I would be terrified. All right, my takeaway is Celtics. This may be a prediction or a takeaway. I don't know what it is, but I think if you're going to win the NBA championship, you find a way to break the thing that has been killing you throughout the playoffs. That's been playing well after playing well. And I think they do it tonight. They go up 3-1. That game is at 9 p.m. on ABC.
I would love that. I would wake up so happy tomorrow if they go up 3-1 and win 2 games at home after stealing one on the road.
Then all you got to do is go
come
back
on.
and you can either win in Golden State or win in Boston.
Win tonight, losing Golden State, win in 6. We'll see you on Causeway Street on AV.
You're really hoping. You're really hoping.
Getting swallowed by the whale. All right, that's what we got here on the Morning Roast. We'll have the drive later this afternoon. Celtics, of course, Game 4 tonight at 9 p.m. And we'll have Red Sox here on 92.9 The Ticket, WEZQ Bangor.